They said it was a wolf, but many believe the beast that haunted Gevaudan was something far worse. Between 1764 and 1767, the quiet, forested hills of Gevaudan in southern France became the setting for one of history's most chilling mysteries. A monstrous creature, unlike anything the locals had ever seen, began stalking the countryside. It attacked without mercy, leaving behind torn bodies, blood-soaked fields, and a region paralyzed with fear. More than 100 people would die, mostly women and children. Witnesses described a beast as large as a calf, with reddish fur, dark stripes, and an eerie ability to walk on its hind legs. Some said it was a supernatural monster. Others believed it was punishment from God. The King of France himself sent soldiers and professional hunters to kill it. But every time someone claimed the beast had been slain, the killings continued. Was it a rogue wolf, a lion or hyena escaped from a private menagerie, a trained beast used by a human killer, or something far stranger? Tonight, we dive deep into the legend of the Beast of Gevaudan, a tale of blood, mystery, and a creature that has haunted the shadows of history for over 250 years. To understand the terror that gripped Gevaudan, we have to step back in time, into a world of dense forests, isolated villages, and a people shaped by hardship and superstition. In the mid-1700s, Gevaudan was a remote and mountainous province in south-central France. Life here was hard. Most people were poor shepherds, farmers, or woodsmen, deeply religious and largely cut off from the political centers of Paris and Versailles. Roads were treacherous, communication was slow, and when something strange happened in one village, it might take weeks for another to hear about it, if they ever did. The forests of Gevaudan were vast, dark, and filled with wolves. Not just the occasional one or two. Wolves were a genuine threat in rural France at the time, especially during the harsh winters. They stole livestock, they attacked travelers, and sometimes when food was scarce enough, they attacked people. So when the first reports came in of a wolf-like creature preying on humans, no one doubted it could be possible. But there was something different about these attacks, something more calculated, more brutal, unlike anything the people had seen before. Fear spread quickly in a place like Gevaudan. Without newspapers or national broadcasts, stories traveled by word of mouth, growing darker with every retelling. A girl had her throat torn out. A boy was found with deep claw marks across his chest. People whispered that it wasn't just a wolf, it was a punishment from God, or a demon sent to torment them. The church, already a central force in the community, began using the attacks as moral warnings. Priests warned their congregations to repent, claiming the creature was divine punishment for the sins of the people. Every new death became a kind of sermon, another soul lost to judgment. And through it all, the creature remained unseen, uncaught, unstoppable. The first recorded victim was a 14-year-old shepherdess named Jeanne Boulet. It was June 30th, 1764. She had been watching over a herd of sheep when something came out of the forest and struck. Her body was found mutilated, her throat torn out. At first, it was chalked up to a wolf. Grim, but not entirely unusual for the region. But then, just days later, another child was killed. Then another. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Almost all of the victims were women and children, alone or in small groups, often tending animals in the fields. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't attacking at random. It was choosing the weakest, most vulnerable targets. And it wasn't just killing, it was mauling, tearing, sometimes even eating its victims. Witnesses spoke of a beast that didn't just kill to survive, but seemed to kill for sport. In the months that followed, the death toll climbed. One girl, only 10 years old, reportedly fought off the creature with a homemade spear. She survived, but not without terrible wounds, and her account painted a terrifying picture. A beast with reddish fur, as large as a calf, with a long tail and sharp teeth like a predator she'd never seen before. Entire communities began living in fear. Parents refused to let their children tend the flocks. Men began arming themselves just to walk to church. Some villages organized patrols, hoping to protect their homes from what many had already started calling la bête, the beast. By the winter of 1764, reports were pouring in from across the province. One boy survived an attack only because a group of oxen fought the creature off. In another case, a young girl was found with her head missing. Dozens of deaths had been recorded, and no hunter, no trap, no local hero could stop the bloodshed. People started to question everything. Could a single animal really be behind so many attacks? Could it truly move from village to village so quickly without being seen? Or was there more than one? The people of Gevaudan were no longer facing just a predator. They were facing a legend in the making. As the attacks continued into 1765, panic turned to outrage. Over 60 people were dead. Locals had tried everything, forming hunting parties, digging traps, arming shepherds, but nothing worked. For every reported sighting or injured animal that people swore must be the beast, the killings only grew more frequent and more violent. Word of the terror spread beyond Gevaudan. Soon, newspapers across France were reporting on the creature that stalked the countryside. Public fascination turned to national embarrassment. How could a single province be tormented for so long, with no end in sight? Eventually, the crisis reached the ears of King Louis XV himself. Determined to restore order and save face, the king sent in his own professional hunters. First came Captain Duhamel of the local dragoons, who tried to bring military discipline to the chaos. Hundreds of men scoured the countryside with guns, dogs, and horses. Some villagers even dressed as women, hoping to lure the beast into a trap. It was theatrical, it was desperate, and it didn't work. After months of failure, the king replaced Duhamel with his own gun bearer, François Antoine, a renowned wolf hunter. Antoine arrived with fanfare, backed by royal resources and political pressure to succeed. In September 1765, he shot and killed a massive wolf over 5 feet long. It was paraded through Paris as La Bête, the beast, then stuffed and displayed like a trophy. Antoine was celebrated. The royal court breathed a sigh of relief. The terror, it seemed, was finally over. But it wasn't. Just 2 months later, the killings began again. If it wasn't a wolf, what was it? Eyewitness accounts described a creature that seemed familiar, almost wolf-like, but just wrong enough to unsettle even the most experienced hunters. Survivors and onlookers described an animal the size of a calf, with a massive head, a long tail, and fur that was reddish-brown or gray, often with a black streak running down its back. Some claimed it had a gaping mouth full of huge fangs. Others said its chest was broad like a lion's, its legs unusually long and powerful, but it wasn't just the appearance that disturbed people. It was the behavior. It didn't run when approached, it watched. It stalked its prey with eerie patience, sometimes circling for minutes before striking. There were whispers that it walked on 2 legs, that it seemed to anticipate traps, that it avoided gunfire. Some even said it wore armor, metal plating on its back, or thick boar-like hide that deflected bullets. One particularly chilling detail surfaced again and again. The creature always went for the neck. Throats were torn out cleanly, surgically, like a predator that knew exactly how to kill. Over time, the physical descriptions became more elaborate, more impossible. Some said it had hooves. Others said its eyes glowed red in the dark. A few claimed it made no sound when it moved, not even in the underbrush. Was it just hysteria, mass exaggeration, or were these details pointing towards something no one had ever seen before? The people of Gevaudan no longer believed they were dealing with a natural predator. Whatever haunted their forests was intelligent, and it was hunting them like prey. For over 250 years, the question has remained the same. What exactly was the Beast of Gevaudan? The most common theory is the simplest: an unusually large wolf, or perhaps a pack of them. France in the 1700s had no shortage of wolf attacks, and Gévaudan's remote terrain would have made an ideal hunting ground. But even seasoned wolf experts from the time questioned this explanation. The size, the strength, the sheer number of killings all seemed beyond what a normal wolf could do. And wolves don't typically target humans with such consistency, especially not healthy adults. Some believe it may have been a wolf-dog hybrid, larger, more aggressive, possibly even trained. Others have suggested an exotic animal, a lion or a hyena, perhaps escaped from a nobleman's private collection or a traveling menagerie. Hyenas, after all, have a powerful bite, a strange gait, and a terrifying laugh-like sound that could have unnerved witnesses unfamiliar with such a creature. Still others point to a darker possibility, that the beast wasn't acting alone. What if it was being directed, trained by a human hand? This theory leads to one of the most chilling ideas of all, that the beast was a tool for murder, that someone, maybe a nobleman, a sadist, a secretive recluse, used an animal to commit a series of calculated killings, hiding behind folklore and fear. There are even reports suggesting that Jean Chastel, the man who eventually killed the beast, may have been involved from the start, that he trained the animal and set it loose, only to later emerge as the hero who saved the region, a self-made legend. Then, of course, there's the supernatural. Some believed it was a werewolf, La Bête du Gevaudan, a cursed soul doomed to hunt the innocent. The way the creature seemed to vanish and reappear, its apparent immunity to bullets, and its unnatural cunning all fed into this idea. Others called it a demon, a manifestation of divine punishment, a creature sent not from nature, but from the underworld. Was it one animal, or many? A single beast, or something wearing that form? The truth, if there ever was one, remains buried beneath centuries of fear, folklore, and fascination. By the summer of 1767, Gévaudan had endured 3 years of terror, dozens of attacks, hundreds of sightings. The king's hunters had failed, local traps had failed, hope was nearly gone. And then, the killings stopped. The turning point came in June of that year, when a local farmer and part-time hunter named Jean Chastel shot and killed a large animal in the forest of Montmouchet. This time, the details are steeped in legend. Some accounts say Chastel had been waiting silently for hours, reading from a prayer book when the beast appeared. He raised his gun, said to be loaded with bullets made from melted-down silver religious metals, and fired. The creature fell instantly. Its body was enormous, far larger than any known wolf. Chastel and his men transported the carcass to nearby officials, and the region breathed a cautious sigh of relief. But the mystery didn't end there. On June 20th, 1767, the day after the animal was killed, royal notary Roche-Étienne Marin wrote an official report at the Marquis d'Apcher's chateau in Charray. This document, now known as the Marin Report, remained largely unknown until rediscovered by historian Elise Séguin in 1952. In it, Marin described the creature as something that seemed to us to be a wolf, but extraordinary and very different by its figure and its proportions from the wolves that one sees in this country. The report provides detailed anatomical notes, including a dental count of 20 teeth in the upper jaw and 22 in the lower, figures that align with what we now know to be the typical dentition of a modern wolf. Marin also documented scars and wounds on the beast's body, and included testimonies from villagers who recognized it as the creature that had stalked their families and homes. Following this examination, the body was sent to Paris for scientific examination by royal experts, but by the time it arrived, the summer heat had done its work. The stench was overwhelming, flesh bloated and blackened, fur sloughing off in damp clumps, and the eyes already sunken into liquefied sockets. What was once a feared predator was now a putrid, collapsing heap. Scientists could barely stand to be near it. The famed naturalist Georges-Louis Leclerc, Comte de Buffon, gave it only the briefest of glances before turning away. The opportunity to study it, to understand it, was lost. Whatever answers the body might have held were buried with it. And not ceremoniously. It wasn't so much laid to rest as it was disposed of, shoved into an unmarked grave before its rotting presence could contaminate the court. Whatever Chastel shot in that forest, it marked the end of the nightmare, but it also ensured the legend would live on, unresolved, unanswered, and forever cloaked in mystery. More than 2.5 centuries later, the Beast of Gevaudan is still very much alive, in legend, in literature, and in the minds of those who love a good mystery. Historians still debate the facts. Cryptozoologists search for clues in old sketches, parish death records, and witness testimonies. Skeptics say it was all hysteria, mass panic in an isolated region, fueled by superstition, wolves, and rumor. But the numbers don't lie. Over 100 people dead, dozens more injured. Eyewitnesses across villages describing something strange, powerful, and terrifying. The tale of the beast has inspired films, documentaries, books, and even video games. One of the most famous retellings is the 2001 French film Brotherhood of the Wolf, which blends historical fact with dark fantasy. In cryptid circles, the beast often ranks alongside Bigfoot, the chupacabra, and the Jersey Devil, an enduring symbol of something wild and unexplained lurking just beyond the edge of what we know. In Gévaudan itself, now part of the Lozère department, the legend has become part of local identity. Statues of the beast stand in town squares. Tourists follow trails through the very forests where the creature once hunted. The fear may have faded, but the fascination has not. Was it a misidentified animal, a trained killer, a supernatural force? We may never know the truth, and maybe that's what keeps the story alive. The Beast of Gévaudan may be gone, but its shadow still lingers in the forests of France and in the minds of anyone who dares to ask, what really happened out there? Was it a misunderstood predator, a case of mass hysteria, or something far stranger, something that defies explanation to this day? Let us know what you think in the comments. Was the beast just a freak of nature, or a glimpse into something darker? If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most terrifying cryptid cases, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next mystery. We've got some chilling episodes on the way, from haunted swamps to winged monsters in the skies. Until then, stay curious and stay out of the woods after dark.